What's going on? We got today's fuel. I got with me Aaron Carroll. Aaron, thanks for hopping on here with me. So, I already know your name. What was your sport?
Baseball.
Baseball. And what was your position?
Pitcher.
Pitcher. You look like a pitcher.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you play in college?
I did.
Scholarship, or did you walk on?
I did get a scholarship.
Okay. Now, how'd that happen?
Really, it was just it was a mutual connection. One of my coaches in high school actually played for this specific coach, and he just kind of said, "Hey, I have a guy I want you to come take a look at." And he came down to Texas a couple of times to work with me, and that was that.
All right. So, obviously, you had some skills. What age did you start playing baseball?
4 years old.
Slinging it.
Basically, yeah.
How'd you? What got you started playing? Your parents, your siblings?
Yeah, well, my dad, he played all through college, and then my older brother was playing already at the time. He's 3 years older than me, so basically as soon as I was able, they threw me out there.
And that's the only sport you played, baseball?
Yep, exclusively baseball.
What about, what was your number?
Number 14.
14? And you just like the number 14, or how'd that happen?
Yeah, no, so I had a good friend that I played with in all throughout high school, and he actually passed away my sophomore year of college, and so he was number 41. In college, you only have a set number of jersey numbers. They don't go up to 41, so I just got the reverse of that and wore number 14 all throughout. I will say, before I was a pitcher, though, I played shortstop, and I wore number 2 for Derek Jeter. So that was my idol growing up.
I thought you were going to say James Franklin, because that was my number. Huh. So you played since you were 4. Now, through that time, you probably don't remember much when you were that young, but did you have a coach that you liked in baseball?
Yeah, there was a few. There were a few that I feel like genuinely knew the game and could teach us quite a bit, and then there were some that it was like, maybe looking back on it, a little questionable, but overall, yeah, there was quite a few.
Okay, so the coaches that you liked, what was it that you liked about them?
I think you just automatically have a lot of respect for somebody who's played the game at a high level, and so the coaches that have been there, done that, they can shed light on things a little better because they've been there. The best coaches I had, they played, pro ball, and they weren't focused on the wrong things, if you will.
For the coaches that you did like so much, what was a common trait that they had?
Man, I think for the ones that I didn't enjoy my time with, it was just a matter of, it was more so checking boxes than it was actually doing things that were going to take your game to the next level. And it showed, when you're not winning a whole lot of games and nothing changes, obviously that can be pretty frustrating. And so I'd say that was the worst, was, when you're not winning games, because you can live with the yelling and the cussing if you're winning, right? Because obviously the coach is getting through, but when you're complacent with losing a bunch of games, it's obviously never fun as an athlete.
And it's not. So speaking of losing, how'd you learn to overcome that and overcome some of the failures of your career?
I think it all starts off the field, right? As cliche as that sounds, I think you have to have an identity outside of whatever sports you're playing. I think you have to be, have a really good idea of who you are. Internally, like really who you are. And again, as cliche as it sounds, obviously you're not defined by a good performance or a bad one. Yeah. And it's easy to say that, right? Like in baseball, I always say, next at bat, next pitch. But it's another thing to do it, and just understanding that like there's more to life than baseball, and I can develop myself off the field, and it'll pay dividends on the field. I think that was big for me.
How did you handle a coach? I'm sure there were times in your career where you at least felt like the coach might not have been on your side. How did you handle that?
Yeah, and I think that that happens a lot. For me, I just kind of addressed it head on, and I think that's something that a lot of young athletes fail to do, is they have it pent up inside of them, like, coach is out to get me, or I'm not getting enough playing time, and everybody hears about it except the coach. And I just think you have nothing to lose. And I'm not saying you have to go in there and, start throwing things and shouting. But for me, it was just kind of matter of fact, like, hey, let's sit down and talk about it, because obviously this is where I am, but this is where you are. So how can we meet in the middle and make this work for both of us? And actually that kind of explains why I transitioned from being an infielder to a pitcher, because that was kind of the conversation that we had, and it ended up working out well for both of us. So
You put your big boy pants on. All right. So what was one of your favorite memories from high school? And don't say the senior prom dance.
Already put that out of memory. It is baseball related. I mean, that was the highlight of my high school, my 4 years in high school. We had really good teams my junior and senior year. I keep in contact with a good amount of those guys still. I mean, that was like 13 years ago, which is crazy to think. But yeah, just the baseball, playing against a lot of really good players. A lot of them are in the big leagues now even. And I just remember there's a kid named Josh Bell. He plays, I don't know who he plays for now, but multi-time All-Star, really good player. He came to our place one Saturday, halfway through the season, and the bleachers were filled with scouts. Scouts behind our dugout, scouts behind their dugout. Never seen anything like it. But we would play probably every other week. We'd play somebody that was going to be a high draft pick, and there would be they weren't there to see me, but they would come out and fill the stands, and there's just so much energy, and it was a lot of fun. There's nothing like, obviously Friday Night Lights football is a lot of fun, but baseball, Friday, or those district night games under the lights, being able to pitch in those, there's nothing like it.
You said 13 years ago that was?
2011.
So you got grandkids now?
Feels like I should, but no.
All right, what about college? What was one of your favorite memories from there?
For sure, my junior year, I got to play with my oldest brother, Indiana Tech. He played first base, and I pitched, and we actually got to be on the field together. We went, our spring break trip, we went to Florida, and that's around the time spring training's going on. We actually got to play against the Detroit Tigers minor league team there in Lakeland, Florida. I got to throw a couple innings, and he was at first for a couple of those, and so that's the pinnacle moment of my baseball career for sure.
What do you think was one thing that helped lead to your success?
Honestly, I think my dad and my older brother, because, very few Saturdays did we not go out and hit or throw or do something. And, it was one of those things where I'd be like, no, you guys go ahead. And they're like, well, we need a third. And so it's like, at the time, feel like I'm kind of roped into it. Obviously, looking back on it, makes a big difference when you're out there working and, other people are inside playing video games or, whatever the case may be. So definitely, those two they were always working. And then, like I said, I probably wasn't as passionate, but just being out there, that made a big difference.
If you could go back to being a kid, knowing what you know now, what is something that you would have done differently for baseball?
I would have gotten a tee, gotten a hitting net, and just hit every single day. Every single day. I always complained that baseball is not like basketball, where you can just practice on your own anytime you want and get a lot better, and you don't need anybody. You just get your own rebounds, shoot. And I always thought baseball, you can only get better, if you're facing live pitching, things. And obviously, looking back at it now, so many really good hitters just work off the tee. If I could go back and do that, go back and do it again, every day, hit out. There's no excuses, right? It's easy. And anyways, that's what I would have done, because it's easy. There's no excuse not to.
Second part of the question, you can go back, knowing what you know now. What's something that you're glad you did?
Well, I'm glad that I went out and did the work with, when like I said, those Saturday mornings when I didn't feel like it. I'm glad I went out, shagged baseballs, took batting practice. I remember this. I think I was 13. I got on with a team that had a bunch of they had age groups from like 9U through 18U, and they would practice Saturday, Sunday, no questions asked, 3 hours on Saturday and Sunday, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays was weight training at the Valley Ranch where the Cowboys used to train. So 4 days a week, 13 years old, I'm like, why are we lifting weights? Why are we practicing for 3 hours a day? But the strides that I made in that 1 year was like, it was unlike any, it was incredible. And obviously those coaches knew what they were doing. Yeah. Anyways, stuff like that is what I'm grateful for, because without that, I don't know if there would have been college baseball.
All right, well, now the third part of this three-part question. So same thing. You could go back, knowing everything you know now. You go all the way back to being a kid, but you had to pick a different sport. What sport would you pick?
Football. Yeah, football. I think, I don't know. I think that's a sport that I think it comes easiest to me. But for me, it was like the technicalities, like the route running.
So receiver. You'd be a receiver.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not. No, probably not a receiver, because I did. It's hard to break away from guys when you're running a 5-flat 40, but just like working the seam and stuff like that. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I've always felt like I can do that pretty well. But again, when you don't start something at a young age and you don't learn about the small things, right? Like running routes, dropping the hips, or sinking the hips, things like that. It's like it really sets you back. But 7-on-7, that's fun. I love 7-on-7, but yeah, definitely football. But again, my mom, didn't want me getting hurt. So,
do you think this might be a touchy topic, but do you think a youth athlete should be in a serious relationship? Obviously there's high school sweethearts and stuff out there, but so do you think that they should be in a serious relationship at such a young age?
That's hard. I mean, for me, because I was in a relationship pretty much all throughout high school, and looking back on it, wish I'd been more focused on what I was trying to achieve. So it's hard, looking at it now, it's hard in the moment to feel like you shouldn't, right? Because you're in love, and but I do think it makes it harder. I think high school is a time to really kind of like figure out who you are. Like think about it. You enter high school 14, 15, you leave 18, 19, like you go through so much transition in that time. You change so much, and I just feel like that's the time to really kind of like figure out who you are, figure out what you want to do, and God forbid you go to a specific college and lose out on, this opportunity because, you want to, go with your high school sweetheart. No offense if you do. It works out for a lot of people, right? I'm just saying for me, I think the best thing you can do is just use that time to work on yourself. I'm not saying you can't have a boyfriend or girlfriend, but I just think that, like, talking serious, I think that can wait a little bit.
No, I'm with you on that. It's really hard when you have two things. It's like you said, when you're in high school, young, middle school, think you're in love and all this. And like you said, it works out for a lot of people. But at the same time, you only have such a small window of opportunity that if you're serious about whatever sport you're playing, you don't want to hurt any chances that you have. And so it's worked out for a lot. But to be in a serious relationship, that's going to take a lot of time away from really trying to accomplish your athletic goals.
I think I'll say to your point too is if you're in a relationship with somebody and they're like pushing you, it can work to your benefit if they're like pushing you to get to where you want to be. Yeah. It's like, hey, you want to go to, silly, but hey, Friday night, date night, no, get to work, do your thing, yeah. And,
No, that's a good point. It was a Cooper Cup. I heard about his story last year. His wife, I think her girlfriend at the time, maybe, but she was like working multiple jobs so he could still train and pursue that. If you have the right partner, it's super beneficial, and it can help you accomplish those goals. It's just usually at that age you get carried away with what's right in front of you rather than the long term. So what's a piece of advice that you would give younger athletes now?
I think the biggest thing is don't lie to yourself, right? Like if you genuinely want to go play at the next level, then don't just say it, but I mean, do it. Again, as cliche as that sounds, I think a lot of times it's cool to say, I want to go, play D1 football, or I want to go play at the next level, and but is that really what you want to do? It's okay if it's not, but don't lie to yourself. And so if that is what you want to do, then do the steps that are needed to get to where you need to be.
What do you think is the most important thing to do as a young athlete? You go back and say, hey kid, you need to do what?
Just do the work. That's the only way you can get better. Experience. You can watch hours of YouTube, trying to figure out how to perfect your swing, your shot, your whatever. The only way that you're going to get better, though, is actually doing it, feeling what, figuring out what feels right, what works, what doesn't work, trial and error. So just do the work.
Okay. All right, this next section is called Key Questions. So the first question, what advice would you give parents who are wanting to raise a superstar? In quotes.
Wanting to raise a superstar. First of all, remember, they're the superstar, not you. Don't live vicariously through them. I think it's important personally to just keep them on the path. Don't let them get distracted. And I don't know, I hope I'm not getting ahead, but let them play multiple sports.
Oh, that's question number 5. All right. Second key question. How can youth athletes balance everything they have going on in life between school, relationships, jobs, home life, their sports? What's a good way that they can balance all that?
I guess, a schedule would be the easy answer. I know it's, not that easy to stick to, but talking about relationships, like if you feel like you can't if you feel like you can't balance everything, then something has to come out, right? And so, maybe the relationship comes out, maybe, this after school thing that you're in comes out. You just have to prioritize what's most important to you. You have to be able to define that for yourself. Nobody else can. Your baseball coach can't do that for you, football coach, your teachers. You have to decide what's most important to you. Family, academics, sports, and make time for that. Because whatever you don't make time for, obviously, is going to fall behind.
Yeah, I like that. Third key question. What are some ways that youth athletes can get noticed by schools if they want to play at the collegiate level?
Man, with social media the way it is, I hear all the time about kids getting picked up, from film on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. They've got social media platforms specifically for finding athletes. I would just say get somebody to film all your content and just go crazy posting it. Try to get as many eyes on it as you can.
Fourth question. Do you think athletes should have a meal plan or diet that they stick to?
It's ideal. I think, obviously, maybe some families that might be a struggle, right? And just the world we live in, good food is typically more expensive, right? A lot more expensive. So, yes, that's ideal. Also, though, when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, you can, kill a 12-count of nuggets and french fries and go out and, play 4 quarters and somehow perform at a pretty high level. So I do think it's ideal. I think that will get you optimal results. But I don't think it's the end-all, be-all if it's not feasible.
All right, now the fifth one that you jumped ahead to. Would you recommend playing multiple sports?
Yeah, I think it just helps boost your athleticism because, obviously different sports, different movements, different muscles you're working out. I just think it makes you a more well-rounded athlete.
This next one, rapid fire questions. I'm going to ask you basically 2 comparisons, and as quickly as possible, I need your answer. You ready?
Let's do it.
Grape or purple?
Great.
Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
LeBron James.
Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant?
Kobe Bryant.
LeBron or Kobe Bryant?
Kobe Bryant.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
Late nights or early mornings?
Late nights.
Dreamer or realistic?
Dreamer.
Greatest athlete of all time in any sport?
Tiger Woods.
Okay. Lululemon or Nike?
Lulu.
Toilet paper over or under?
Under.
Deep dish or thin crust?
Thin crust.
McDonald's or Wendy's French fries?
McDonald's.
Chocolate or fruity?
Fruity.
Mountain or beach?
Beach.
Well, that was it, man. Thanks for hopping on here and giving some insight and your experience, man. I really appreciate it.
Glad I could do this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's your fuel for thought. We'll see you next time.